It stopped raining, which is good, and yeah, the river is still very, very high and slowly dropping, only very, very slowly. We're still concerned about the stop bank at the top of the town. The river is still full and there's still pressure on there. We still haven't taken off the notice for the residents for them having their bags packed, ready to go at short notice. So that is still in order there for them. Hamish, anything further to add?
Yeah, I mean, the town's still on standby. If you drive around Ashburton, it actually feels like it's just a rainy day. So, but the pressure on the rural area is high. So there's a lot of surface flooding and issues in the rural area. And of course, we're still on standby for those stop banks to hold. There are a number of other issues that are causing us to keep busy. One of which is the flood water is getting into the oxidation ponds for the Ashburton wastewater system, and that's then overflowed, and so the flood water down in and around the wastewater ponds should be regarded as contaminated, and we're trying to deal with that, but until the water starts going down, it is what it is. So a couple of issues, Neil, that we're managing.
We've had our roading team out looking at the roads around the district, and yesterday we reported we had 3 bridges that were gone. We now report we have 4 bridges gone, and there's a lot of damage to some roads where the seal has just been lifted off the roads and gone, so there'll be roads that needs reconstruction. We've got 17 roads that are shut at the moment. The roads to Christchurch, both the Gorge Bridge and the Rakaia Bridge where you get out of the district are closed, so you can't go that way.
Is there any way out of the district heading north?
Only by air.
And what about south?
It's closed at Hines,
Yeah.
at the state highway. You can go through Maroon and around, but you've got to be really careful because there's a lot of flooding all the way through this area.
We're still advising people if you don't need to travel, don't travel. Stay at home until the flood water recedes completely and we can see what the damage is. There's a lot of damage, a lot of water has been swirling around, creating holes in the road. And if there's water still in them, you won't see them and your car will just drop into them.
Are we through the worst of it? Or is it getting better, or is there still a lot of water coming down?
We're through the worst of it rain-wise, but there's still a lot of water coming down. It's going to take a wee while to clear the catchment. So it could be another 2 or 3 days before it drops right back to reasonable levels. Yep.
Is any support being provided to farmers? Obviously they're struggling a bit at the moment with lots of their land underwater and getting stopped to higher ground.
Yeah, we've got rural support trusters in our operations room next door and fielding phone calls from farmers who need assistance. We have one area of farmers which is worst hit, which is in the Green Street area, and they're being supported, and I've heard of helicopters flying some feed in for some that cannot drive to get feed into their stock.
Can you talk about the river levels? This morning we were talking about the Ashburton. How is that now? What's the level in terms of the stop banks?
This morning when we talked it was about 1400 cubics. It's about 1250 at the moment, so it has dropped down, but still way higher than the 10 it normally runs.
And so you're confident that's not going to spill over and cause the evacuations that were being fed yesterday in urban Ashburton?
Not confident that it won't do it. It could still do it. We're still watching that very, very carefully because the flow is still very high. It could take a day or 2 for that to drop back to a level where we can remove that threat of flooding.
How long should people be on standby for? When will it be reassessed?
As soon when the water drops, it'll be reassessed, and we'll let people know when they can unpack their overnight bag and put it away again.
And we've got a system that we're urging local people to tap into, which is to text your postcode to 4196. And one of the ways in which we're keeping people up to date is by texting out to those people who subscribe to that service. So if anyone is watching and hasn't yet done so, just text your postcode to 4196. And that's a way we can keep people up to date.
Last night there was another rescue, just the method of tribute on car. What would be your message to people? This is the 4th rescue last 24 hours. Firstly, what frustration around that, and secondly, the message to people.
Yeah, if you don't need to go out, don't go out. That incident took people away from doing other work, having to rescue them. Required a chopper. Those people were very lucky that they're still here with us, for what I understand. The chopper that rescued them picked one of them up, but one of them actually fell into the water and was washed away, and they picked that person up a wee bit later. So they've had a very near miss, and it's work they don't want to be doing when they're rescuing someone where they don't or shouldn't have to. They would like to be doing the work that and supporting people who really need it.
How is the community feeling?
At the moment, the community's really good. They're getting together and supporting each other, and our job here is to keep them informed of what's going on, and as long as we can flow the information to them and they know what's going on, they'll all be supportive of each other, and they are at the moment, and assisting wherever they can. It's been really good what I've been seeing.
What's the situation in Hines? Are they still surrounded by problems?
I had a person call me there this afternoon. There is some water still around Hines, but it has gone down, and I heard there was water in a couple of houses down there, but not too bad.
Can people get out of there if they need to?
They could come north, but they'd have to go up the Maronan Road Bridge. They'd be better to stay put and phone their needs into us if they hurt any, and we will support them.
And so 2 houses there that are flooded?
Yeah, minor water damage, 3-4 inches of water in the houses.
Well, how long is the road north going to be closed from the bridge?
Well, it's actually at Selwyn, so that'll be NZTA who look after that road. They will probably be able to update on that. They haven't given us any info on it. That's in the Selwyn district, not the Ashburton district.
I understand it's that the Selwyn River has breached across the state highway and closed around nzherald as opposed to Rokai. But you can't go inland over the Rokai either because it's continuing to go down, as far as we understand.
Do you have at Hines any information on how long that's going to be closed?
It's closed at the moment, but we just need to accept that, and we'll keep them up to date, and it'll be opened as soon as it can. But at the moment, it's closed.
So still a fair bit of water coming through the Hines River?
Yes.
Some farmers say they've lost all their winter feed. Do you know how much feed has been brought in today and how long that's going to carry on for?
I don't believe any feed's been brought in yet. There's a lot of feed still in the county in areas that haven't been affected with adversely affected with the floods that some have, especially around the Green Street area. So once those waters disappear, the real support will go in and assess and give support where needed.
Can you contextualise it in terms of the near drought you've been having for much of this year to this point? So what sort of state was the grass in, and what does this water do to it?
A lot of it can be irrigated, so we had reasonably good pasture covers and green feeds going into the winter. But there are some dryland farmers out there, they had very little feed on them, and very little feed, and now flood, wash away, it's a double whammy for them, really. Yeah. So, and some of the winter feed that was out there grown under irrigation has now been washed away with the river. So once that goes down, we'll be able to assess how bad that is for them.
And just to that point too, inside our emergency centre, not only Rural Support Trust, but MPI are there as well. So we feel really well connected and supported with the agencies that have those sort of matters as their core business, which is just great.
Have you had any reports of dead stock out at sea that have washed down?
I don't know about out at sea, but we've heard there's some stock losses, and I don't know if they've got to sea.
Do you know how many?
No, not yet, not exact numbers, no.
I wouldn't envisage they would be high because the farmers had a lot of warning that this would come in, and they were well set up for this event.
When do you think you'll be able to quantify the cost in terms of roading, bridges, that sort of thing?
It'll be a number of weeks away, so that there's an amount that we don't even know yet because it's still covered in water, and so until the water's gone, you start to assess it and then work out what repairs you need to do. The cost may be quite some time away. We might have some estimates within some weeks, but the exact cost won't be known for quite some time.
Yeah, it looks like the farmers are the ones who are really going to be most severely impacted by this at this stage.
Yeah, I think so. Looking around the towns, they've got off reasonably lightly, apart from the pick up and the head off message we've been giving them, which hasn't had to happen as yet. But it is that the rural has taken the brunt of this.
Stockbank's doing their job. Is a fantastic outcome for the planning that went into those. And as Neil said, we're still watching those really carefully. But while they continue to do their job, the impact simply is more severe in the rural area.